Hey everyone, Joe here. I normally try to run through my videos pretty quickly, but I'm going to take my time on this one. The whole video is on CGC's Crossover Program. I sent in 22 books, and I have all except 9 back. Very interesting what has come back, and I'm going to try to do this as non-biased as possible and let the viewers make up their own minds. You know, there's some things that are fact that I'll state, which are negative or positive, but they are facts. So for those who don't know, very quickly, the CGC has started a crossover program where you could send in books from any other grading company, and they will regrade them for, right now there's a program going on until the end of the month. After the end of the month, prices are going to change, but right now they'll regrade them for $10. as long as they grade the same or lower. If they grade higher, then the price is half price off their regular rates. So either way, it's a deal. And the $10 is any level. You could send a $10,000 book, or you can send a $10 book. And if it grades the same or lower, it is just $10. So first off, I sent in, like I said, 22 books. Was very impressed by CGC because you think of them as a big company with no personality or no customer service. And the day the books were received, I received an email from them. And this is one of the things that are going to change after this month. They pre-screened all of the books. So the same day, I got 22 reviews on each one of my books with what they think the book will grade out as. For instance, you know, they would say one book would grade out at around 4.5 to 5.0. It is currently a PGX case graded at 5.0. Do you want to proceed in grading on this? So on each one, they asked me if I wanted to proceed. If I didn't, there was no charge at all. Just my charge for shipping it there and for them to ship it back. On 9 of the 22, they recommended pressing. And for instance, on one book, they said the book would grade out at about 4.5 to 5.0, but would need a press to achieve this. It's currently PGX case graded at 4.5. Do you want to have this book pressed and graded? So again, on a book like that, I could have chosen to not have it graded, to have it graded and not pressed, or to have it pressed and graded. I actually chose to have all of the books pressed that they recommended. Their pressing is very expensive, I think about $150. But you know, while it was there, I figured I might as well have it done, and I'm saving so much on all of the others, I figured it would balance out. So also, just to mention, when CGC came out with this program, there was a bunch of email or a bunch of videos about, you know, CGC trying to take over and become a monopoly. And you know, I'm a business owner. Good for them. You know, it's capitalism. It's open game. Anyone could do this. PGX, CBCS, they could have crossover programs if they want. They choose not to. So, you know, good for CGC for doing something different. Of course, I want everybody to have their books graded in their cases. So I do not hold anything against them for trying to be a monopoly. I prefer there not be a monopoly. I prefer the other companies do better rather than CGC do worse. So, I mean, that's just basics on capitalism. You know, have everybody else rise up instead of dragging down the guy on top. Anyway, that is my opinion. So the first book is Justice League of America 1. I bought this book years ago, and I always thought I overpaid for it. And finally, the prices come up, and you know, I was in the black. I was making money on this book if I chose to sell it. The pre-screen on this was, the graders think this would grade out at around 3.0 to 3.5. It's currently in a PGX case of 5.0. So I was taking a chance of losing 1.5 to 2 points on the grade. Now, when I bought this book, whenever I bought PGX books, and I own probably about 100 PGX books, most of them were my books that I had graded. And again, years ago, there wasn't that big of a difference, or at least I didn't think there was. They were cheaper, they were faster. I just figured, hey, it's in a case, it's protected, and why not? Save the money, $10 or $12, whatever they charge, compared to CGC's, 30 to 50 to 100, whatever it might be. So anyway, I chose on all of these to have them graded. I thought that a 3.0 CGC would be worth the same as a PGX 5.0. I will say that I have since I've gotten these back, I've checked on eBay, and PGX books are not selling for that much less than CGC. I looked at a few books. It was hard to compare apples to apples because there weren't that many the same grades. But I looked at a New Mutants 98. I think it was like a 9.0, and there's a CGC that sold for $125, and a PGX that sold for like I think it was 96 or so. So about $20 difference. Not that big of a deal. At least I didn't think so. Although I guess if you consider percentage-wise, it's a big percentage. But I did look at other books, and it did not look like they were selling for that much less. So there are people out there that are, that put some stock into PGX also. I didn't check any CBCS because I didn't send any in. These are all PGX to CGC. So anyway, I chose to have this graded. Now I have two major disappointments. This is one of them. This book came back 3.5 conserved. I didn't even know that existed. I just thought there was restored and non-restored. But this came back conserved. Also, another benefit, which I think might end after this month, is that you got the grader's notes on all of these. So the grader's notes say reinforcement to cover, archival material, high quality, A1. And then other things like light, multiple stain cover, multiple crease cover, breaks color, small, multiple spine split, wear on the spine, breaks color. The normal stuff for a 3.5 to even up to a 5. But the big thing is that there was restoration, but I guess if it's done professionally, it's considered archival, depending on what's done. So this is something, now I bought this book graded by PGX 5.0. There's either two things that happened. One, they missed it. They're not qualified enough to catch professional restoration, or at least they weren't 5, 6, 7 years ago when I bought this. Or they knew it was, and they graded it anyway as a Blue Label 5.0, and there has been, again, this is not me, but I've seen rumors on the internet and videos about them having friends sell books. Could this have been one of those? I don't know. But this one is clearly an error on PGX's fault. So those people that, like I used to do, buy PGX books on eBay because you could buy them at pretty much raw book prices, now that their books are going up, again, buyer beware, because, again, I bought a 5.0 Blue Label, came back CGC 3.5 conserved. This big book is more of a 3. It's probably, if I was to grade it, I'd probably put it at a 4.0, maybe even a 4.5. So PGX's grade was a little high. CGC, I think, is a little low, but there's no doubt about there being a restoration done. That's not something they would, you miss it, you don't add it on. So very disappointed on that. Glad it's still a Blue Label for whatever reason, but very disappointed in that. Next is my second disappointment. And this is Tales of Suspense 39. This was, all right, now this book is interesting because I bought this book in 2010, And I saw it on eBay. It did not, it was being sold as a 5.0, I believe. Tales of Suspense. Let me just check here. Yes, it was a PGX 5.0. So I sent PGX an email on December 9th, 2010. I said, hi, I'm looking to buy a Tales of Suspense 39 on eBay, PGX number, blah, blah, blah. Graded 5.0. It looks like it may have just made the 5.0, so I was hoping to get grading notes. Auction ends soon, please reply. Now, to their benefit, they did reply the next day and said, grading notes, multiple stress lines along spine, moderate spine edge cover wear, browning on interior cover, 2 1/2-way popped staples. Let me read that again. 2 1/2-way popped staples. I wrote back and I said, that helps a lot. I said not to be a bother, but this book was graded in 2006. With these comments, do you think it would still grade at a 5.0 today? And they wrote back and said, I see nothing that would keep it from grading out at the same grade. Okay, so I send it in. It comes back, not a 5.0, but a 4.0, which is closer to the actual grade. I always knew this book was overgraded. But, grader's notes, detached cover. Light cover wear breaks color, stain left bottom of front cover, which you could see, which PGX doesn't mention, but you could clearly see a stain. But big thing, detached cover. Now, was this another mistake by PGX? This one I'm not willing to say, because they could have been 1/2-way popped, and maybe when CGS cracked it open and took it out of that inner well, maybe there was static that pulled the page open. Maybe maybe even when PGX graded it, when they encapsulated it, maybe the pressure there popped the rest of the staples. Although it did say 2 halfway popped, and I believe there's 3 staples, or should be 3 staples. But PGX has this as detached cover. I didn't know a detached cover could be 4.0. Again, another huge disappointment. They even put it on I would like it better if they didn't have it on the graders right here. It says detached cover, so it's there for everyone to know. Again, fortunately, I bought this a long time ago, and I paid a good amount of money for it, but not if I was buying a 5.0 CGC at the same time, I would have spent a lot more. So there's 2 books that took major hits, and there's really no question about the Tales of the Justice League. That was just an error, or an oversight for whatever reason. And this one here, again, I'll have to leave it open to everyone to decide. Was it detached when it was originally graded, or was it something that CGC did, or could it have been something when the book was being encapsulated? I don't know, but either way, I believe I lost money on each one. I think if this was a 4.0 without a detached cover, it'd probably be worth more than a PGX 5.0, but I'm not sure with the detached cover as it is. But anyway, it still looks very nice. It's a very nice looking book, clean, and again, just another thing to find out. I personally, although I'm disappointed in these, I always knew some of these books were overgraded, and I would much rather an honest CGC grade than an inflated grade. Even if some of these books I think were undergraded, but when selling, you buy the book, you don't buy the grade. So hopefully whenever I decide to sell these, people will look at the books and not so much into the grade. Iron Man 55. This came back as a 5.5. Let's see what this went in as. Iron Man I should have done these in the same order that I have them here. Okay, this went in. Okay, I laugh, and this was a CGG book. Before PGX, they had a couple other names. One was PGA, which was a major mistake, and they didn't keep that one for long. But before that, it was CGG, and that's where a lot of my books are graded as, because they were done a long time ago. So this was a CGG book, and I think when this is all over, I will send more books in for the crossover. Mostly those that say CGG, because a lot of people don't even know what that means. They don't know that that's PGX's old company name. Anyway, this was a 7.0 PGX and came back as a 5.5. 1.5 points. These are major, major differences on just those 3 books that I've shown so far. This book, yeah, I think I lost, in value, maybe $100 in value. If I just kept it as a 7.0, I probably could have sold it for $100 more than now. But again, I'm not looking to sell these anytime soon. And this one I think was undergraded. Probably could have been a 6.0, maybe even a 6.5. That might have been pushing it, but I would have been happier with a 6.0, which I think it truly is. Next book, another one that I take on the chin here, Avengers 4. This is now a 3.5 CGC. It was a PGX 5.0. Again, this book I bought a long time ago. I think I paid $75 for it. Actually, I know I paid $75 for it. So, I'm not losing money, but, and again, when I got it back as a 5.0 when I sent it off, because I bought this raw, I was shocked. No way did I think this was a 5.0. Again, no way do I think it's a 3.5, but it is what it is, and it's back as a 3.0. There's just so many of these. I have grader's notes for all of these, but I would read them to you, but I'm not sure I could find them in a timely way. And I'm just taking a quick look to see if I can find this one, to see why they're making this a here we go. No, here it is. Large stain right bottom of front cover, multiple crease front cover, breaks color, tape pull on front cover. So 3 types of flaws. One of them, a large stain, which I'm not sure if I can't really see it now, but anyway, again, 1.5 points. Fortunately, all of these only cost me $10 to have regraded, because I don't think any of these have come back higher. A few came back the same, but none came back higher. Journey into Mystery. This was a 4.0 PGX. Again, when I saw this book, it was not a 4.0. There's a rip up here that goes from here all the way down to here. My fear on this one in sending it in was that this was glued, because that's the way it looks. So I'm glad this came back as a blue label. That was my first thing. The grade was secondary. I wanted to make sure this one wasn't a book that was kind of restored and put in a blue label by PGX, but it was not. But again, it was a 4.0 PGX. I bought it as thinking it was a 3.0. That's what I bid on. And again, all of these are probably 7 to 15 years, 10 years, I don't know, a long time. I purchased them a long time ago. So anyway, this came back as a 3.0. I lost a full grade on this. This is a book where I think a CGC 3.0 is probably worth the same or more than a PGX 4.0, my opinion. Again, I looked on eBay. There were no PGX Journey into Mystery 83s that I could compare it with. So that's what we have there. Next is, all right, this one graded out. Let's see if I can just get this on top. That graded the same. That's Saga #1, 9.8, and it was a PGX 9.8. Here's what I found. The 9.6 and 9.8s all graded the same. So you could probably have much more confidence in buying a high grade Near Mint Plus 9.6, 9.8, that they're going to be graded the same no matter which company. Unfortunately, I didn't send any other really. I think the highest book I sent in was an 8.0, maybe an 8.5. The next round of books I send in, there are going to be some 9.2s, 9.4s, 9.0s, and it will be interesting to see how they come back, to see where the companies kind of break off into different directions. There is definitely a difference between the 3.0 to, say, 7 or 8.0. Major differences from what I've seen on these books. All right, next we have Werewolf by Night 32, and this is now a 6.0. This is one that I think, I don't know what the thinking is. CGC may have so many books coming in that they really don't consider other things. I mean, if I wanted to be a conspiracy theorist, I could say, maybe they're grading stricter just to show you, hey, there's a difference in our companies. We're much more strict graders. Don't send it to those other companies anymore because they're just inflated. They could think that. I don't know why they would, because at the same time, it may turn people off. Hey, this book was Werewolf by Night. This was a 6.5 PGX. Now, this one I think PGX got right. I think it is closer to a 6.5 than 6.0, but only a half a point. And most of that, I didn't even check the page. I think most of them are going to be the same, off-white to white pages on this one. So this one came back just about the same. Again, if I wanted to be a conspiracy theorist, I would think the other way also. They could grade higher so that they could charge more. This went in as a 6.5. It could have come back. If this was a 7.0, I would have been shocked. And then they would have made, probably quadruple the money instead of the $10 that it costs to grade this. So I'm just guessing that these come in and the graders really don't pay attention to, the crossover program or anything like that. Here's Submariner #1. This one too, I think I probably agree somewhere in the middle. This was an 8.5 PGX. The pre-screen said 7.0 to 7.5, so I was happy that it came back at a 7.5. Still a full grade under PGX. And again, this one, they could have split it. This could have been an 8.0 easily, but again, it is what it is. I would love to see results from other people. I keep searching YouTube to see. There's only one other video that I've noticed out there. Okay, next. Silver Surfer #1. This one went in as a CGG group 5.5. Came back 4.0, 1.5. Really, I mean, the average I think I'm losing is at 1 to 1.5 points per book. Which is, again, me personally, my opinion. I'm happier with the books as they are now. Because if you go through some videos, I think Lords of the Long Box did a a really harsh video on PGX recently, which kind of scared me and had me wondering about some of these big books that I had graded as PGX books. So I'm happier with these. I would have liked higher grades, but again, I prefer honest grades. This one too, this was not a 5.5, but again, I don't think it's a 4.0. This is a square bound book, and the spine is very nice. It's not, you know, breaking apart and shredding like they often do. So yeah, again, I think this could have been a 4.5 easily, but that's what they thought. And again, these are just opinions. I don't care if you're a professional grader or not. It is really still just opinions. Next, Conan number 1. This one was sent to them as something. It was a PGX, and it was an 8.0, and came back a 6.0. Another one. This is not a 6.0. This is a nice book. This is, maybe it's not an 8.0, but it's definitely higher and should have been at least a 7, maybe even a 7.5. So again, I don't know. I'm hoping for some feedback here. I'm trying to find the grader's notes on this. But I don't know why they would grade stricter on this crossover program than any other time. Okay, here's the grader's notes. Light bends to cover, light reader's crease, front cover breaks color, light wear, full top of front cover. So everything is light, no major creases, no major stains, no major wear. Everything's light. So why is it just a 6.0? Again, hopefully there's a lot of opinions that are going to be formed from this, but this one, again, I think they dropped the ball on. This should have been a 7.0. And it's nice that, you know, again, when I go to sell these, I have the grader's notes. I could say to some, you know, here are the notes. You decide for yourself. You know, you may want to send this back in. Here's one I sent in as a 9.6 and came back as a 9.6. This one does have I think there's a small crease that does break color and still made a 9.6 in both cases. The other 9.6 is New Mutants. That was PGX 9.6 and CGC 9.6. So again, the higher grades don't seem to make a big difference. I think I'm missing some books, but that's what we have there. I have one more here, but I know I have other books that I have sitting somewhere else. All right, we have, all right, this one I was really happy about. Now, this is one of the reasons why I started to get nervous about PGX. A few years, maybe 2 years ago, I sent some books in, and I got a call from one of the principals there, and I should preface that by, I've done business with them. I'm in the marketing industry, and I've done business with them before, so I did know the person. It's not like he was calling a stranger, and he just asked if I wanted to sell this book because it was grading high, and which I said no, but it made me a little nervous that they were interested in it, and you know, I was hoping, you know, all sorts of thoughts run through your head, like, are they going to try to switch this book out? You know, they're obviously interested in owning it for their personal collection. So I was very, very nervous until these books came back. On top of that, sometime last year I saw on their Instagram page that they put a question out there, would you be, if we started to sell books, would you be willing to buy from us? I thought that was a major breach of confidence. And how can a grading company sell their own books? That major mistake. It's things like that that puts them down and CGC up there. You can't sell your own books. That's I don't even know how to put it into words. But anyway, this was a PGX 9.8 and came back a CGC 9.8. I was so happy with this one. There are only 7 9.8s on the CGC census, 6 plus this one. So not only is this a fairly rare book to start with, but now I own one of 7 9.8s in the world that are graded by CGC. Again, another benefit of CGC is they have the census, which people do put stock into. I don't know if the other companies have a overall census, but even if they did, I don't think it would be as important as the CGC census. And so very happy with this one. That's it. I believe that's all the books I have here. I have a couple more. 2 of them I do have grades on, but I didn't get them back yet. They are major Silver Age keys, and both I had pressed, and both went up in grade. I think each one went up a half a point, which is major. I believe. I know one book did. Anyway, so I'm still waiting for 9 books to come back. When I get those back, I'll do another video. Anybody else that has done the crossover program, please do videos. It's so important for the industry. This is a real apples to apples test. I know in the past people have cracked open books and sent them in, but now you can do it for, you're risking $10. Or, if they grade higher, then good for you. I'm sure you'll be happy to pay more. But, I mean, again, please share the video, leave comments. I am a fan of CGC just because they are leaders in the industry. CBCS, I have a few of their books. I've never sent in a raw book to them. I don't see anything wrong with them, but apparently they're screwing up now also with delays and poor grading and things like that. PGX has been around a long time, for probably their first 10 years or so. They really did no advertising that I could see. They were never at trade shows other than maybe local ones to where they are. And maybe they're just happy staying in staying a smaller company and making money and doing it that way. But they have a big PR problem. That might be their biggest problem. They may, as we've seen here, the higher grades grade the same. They may be able to do much better if they do a little more PR, maybe a little more presence on YouTube, or definitely not getting into the business of selling their own books, being more on the up and up. If anybody from PGX is watching this, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think happened on my Justice League of America or on the Tales of Suspense. Again, I could give you a pass on that one. I'm not sure if all the viewers agree with me, but that one I just don't know. But the restoration, that's a big problem. Because of your grade, because I trusted your grading, I lost hundreds of dollars. There's no excuse for that. Leave a comment, even if it's a sorry. It was an old grader. We must have missed it. Whatever. But here's your chance to respond to it. Again, I thought I had more to say on this, but I guess the grades speak for themselves. And again, please leave comments, share the video, and let me know what you think. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Take care.